Hi everybody, welcome to a 20-something's kitchen, and today we are going to be making Sweet Lulu cinnamon roll loaf. To clarify a few things, who is Sweet Lulu and where did this loaf come from? So Lulu is a little foster dog that I have had for about 2 months now. We'll see if she's not too shy. Come here. Come on, come on. Do you want to see the people? Do you want to see the people? Come on. Here she is. The sweet little Lulu. She's got a little gray beard and everything. So she is helping me record today's episode. So if you hear some pitter-patter around, that is her. I've named the cinnamon loaf after her because she is the sweetest little thing, and that's why she is named Sweet Lulu. And I guess we'll go ahead and get started. She just walked away now. Okay, so what goes into making this Sweet Lulu cinnamon roll loaf? So we have 2 packages of cinnamon rolls here. You can use whatever brand you would like. Make sure they are the regular cinnamon rolls and not the jumbo ones. Watch out for that. We have brown sugar, regular sugar, and then a couple mini loaf pans. And then we're also going to be using a green apple and then a green pear as well today. You can really make this recipe however you want. You could add chocolate chips and coconut to it. You could do pumpkin spice, so instead of adding any fruit, you can just do pumpkin spice seasoning if you would like. You could also do raisins and cinnamon as well. That would be delicious. We're going to go ahead and get started on our one today, so it is an apple and pear cinnamon roll loaf. We'll go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is skin the apple and the pear and just chop it up into little pieces and throw it into my bowl here. I'm just skinning the fruit. It's nothing for you to eat. And when I say bite-sized pieces, I really mean just small pieces in there, because you don't want it too chunky throughout the loaf. You want all of the fruit to be evenly distributed. Okay, so all of our fruit is cut up and then in the bowl here. And what I'm going to do is just cut a lemon and squeeze a little bit of juice onto the fruit. That way it will prevent it from getting brown. So just a little bit on there. You can just give that a toss with your hands here. And while I was chopping up the apples, I melted 1/4 cup butter. Then I also grabbed some salt and cinnamon too that we'll be adding to the loaf. So we'll set this aside and clean up a little bit here. And what we're going to do next is add 1/4 cup brown sugar and then 1/4 cup white sugar to this little bowl here. And then a pinch of salt and a pinch of cinnamon to that as well. You could do a 1/2 cup white sugar if you would want, but I like to break it up. I find that the brown sugar adds a little more flavor to recipes, so what I usually do is I cut the white sugar in half and replace the other half with brown sugar. Fun facts. So that is good to go. A pinch of salt, and then a pinch of cinnamon as well. We'll go ahead and give that a little mix. I love the smell of that brown sugar with cinnamon. It is everything. It smells like a perfect candle from Bath & Body Works. Wonderful. So what we'll do is we'll take just a little scoop here and throw that over our fruit. A couple scoops of that. And then we'll toss our fruit. So we have about half of our sugar mixture in with the fruit, and the rest of it we'll be coating the cinnamon rolls with. So we have the 2 packs of cinnamon rolls here. What I'm going to do is pop them and then cut the cinnamon rolls into 4. And then with the icing, what you'll want to do is set it aside because we will need it at room temperature once the loaf is complete cooking. That was scary, wasn't it? Okay, you'll see we have all of our cinnamon rolls here. And I'll just show you an example of what I mean. So you take the cinnamon roll, cut it in half, and then you're going to cut it in another half. And you'll have 4 little pieces here. And what you'll do, you'll take the sugar mixture and just coat it lightly, and then throw it in with the fruit. So we're going to do that for all of the cinnamon rolls here. Beautiful, so we have coated all of the cinnamon roll pieces. I'm just going to give it a light toss to get all the pieces in there with the fruit. It smells so good. Those cinnamon rolls, the brown sugar, the additional cinnamon we added. I could just eat it like this, but it'll be even better baked. I must wait. And then any remaining sugar, just give it a dust on top. Okay, and then to this as well, I did melt 1/4 cup butter. I'm just going to give a slight drizzle on here. And then the rest of it is going to go on top of the loaves when I put them into their little pans. Because who doesn't love a little extra butter in a dish? Beautiful. So it's all mixed up here. Move some of this stuff aside. And then give my hands a little wash. I'm using little disposable loaf pans here, and my reason for that is that I will be flipping the loaf over and drizzling it with the frosting we'll be making here in a second, and I can just recycle these, so it's less dishes that I have to do. I am happy with that. So for the loaf pans, I'm just going to spray 2 of them down because we might not need the third one, depending on how full I want to stuff them. Give them a good spray. Since those are super sugary, you do not want them to stick. So those are all sprayed. What I'm going to do is take my little scoop here and then fill the loaf pan up. And what you want to do too while you're going is pushing it down. You really want to condense it together so that when it bakes together. Sprinkle a little cinnamon midway, filling up the loaf pan. And then we'll go ahead and do that with the second loaf pan here. So we have our 2 loaves here. And what I'm going to do is just drizzle the remaining butter on both of the loaves. Give it a good press. And add some more butter. So if you do have a larger loaf pan, this will probably fit into one. But since these are smaller, I was able to squeeze them into 2 pans. Beautiful, so these are nice and full. I'll give you a good look at them here. And just remember too, the cinnamon rolls will grow as they are in the oven baking. So the oven is at 350 and I'm going to throw these in for about 40 to 50 minutes. Really keep your eye on them around the 40-minute mark because you don't want them to get too brown, but you also want to make sure that they are cooked through here. So I'll throw those in the oven and then we'll get started on our frosting. What I'm going to do is take the frosting from each of the containers and just throw them into our bowl that the sugar was in. Okay, and then to this frosting, what I'm going to do is add a little bit of cinnamon and just give it a good mix. Okay, just give it a little taste. I'm going to add more cinnamon. Perfect, so the frosting is good to go, and what I'll do is I'll set that in the fridge while the loaf is cooking. When we take the loaf out of the oven, it's going to sit at room temperature for about a half an hour to an hour. So once we take that out, I'll also take out our frosting as well, so that this will be at room temperature. It'll be easy for us to drizzle, and we'll be drizzling it on a cool down loaf versus a hot loaf, because if we did it on there right away, the frosting would just melt right in, and we want to see this beautiful frosting that we have made up. Give it one last spin. Any excess frosting, you can eat off the fork.
Down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I've found ever since you've been around. Your love's put me at the top of the world.
Okay, so our loaf is all baked up and it's been cooling for about a half an hour now. It's still a little warm but cooled down enough for us to flip over onto the plate here. And what I'm going to do is just cut around the loaf pan here. Makes it a little easier to flip over. So just one on both sides. And then what we'll do, you just open it up like this. You can kind of see the loaf from here. And we're just going to flip it over. Beautiful. So as I said before, the loaf is going to be a little sticky, which is why we wanted to spray it down good with the extra stick spray. And here we go. So here is your little loaf. If you would like, you can cut along the bottom here so that it is an even loaf kind of at the bottom. Otherwise, you can flip it up like this and then drizzle from here. So we have our frosting here that's been sitting out for about a half an hour, and what I did was put it in the microwave for about 20 seconds, and that really made it gooey for me to spread across the loaf here. So I'll just go ahead and drizzle it along. And you can put as much or as little as you want on the loaf. Alright, that should be good. And there we are. We have our Sweet Lulu cinnamon roll loaf. Time to dig in and enjoy this. You can either cut it up or you can just rip a piece off the top or on the sides and dig right in. Enjoy!